Kagurabachi is a weekly manga serialized by Shonen Jump. It's a new series that started on September 18, 2023. What's interesting about it is how it got popular. It started as a meme, people calling it the greatest series of all time, all that with no chapters released. I've seen edits and all we had was the cover. Before the first chapter even released, everyone started power scaling him above Goku, calling him a better character than Eren Thorfinn. It got to a point where the Kagurabachi guy, as he was referred to, went even above just a manga character. He became a lake, an ice cream. The glaze was just generational. Won't admit bouncing up and down, zip it up after you are done type shit. So it begged the question, is Kagurabachi actually good? As of the making of this video, it has 23 chapters. It's not much, but it's enough to get an impression on how the series is. The manga starts on a backstory. Chihiro's father is a well-known swordsmith. Yes, the MC's name is Chihiro. He isn't just the Kagurabachi guy. Anyway, he trains with his father Kunishige Rokuhira to become a swordsmith as well, following on his footsteps. When Kunishige starts cooking up a sword, he is in serious mode, but usually he is goofy and all over the place. Bro is mad schizophrenic. He literally talks with his fish. But shit, he might be onto something, cause they actually say things. So we have the chill and serious kid and the goofy father dynamic. We get introduced to another important character, Shiba, an old friend of Kunishige. He tells Chihiro how much of a hero his father is. He made swords in times of war, and since he made the best ones, he saved a lot of lives, so he is a hero. We find out that Chihiro is almost 15, so his father wants to teach him about the serious part of being a swordsmith. He tells him that he will need to carry the burden of killing. He will make weapons to kill. He needs to make sure that it falls into the right hands. The sword is meant to protect. Chihiro isn't sure if he can take it, but he will go with it. 38 months later, we see an organization called Korogumi, and they execute some people because they took part in a movement against them. They are pretty much Yakuza, and they are backed by a sorcerer, so we know that we got some supernatural shit going on. We see our MC with a scar on his face. He meets up with Shiba. He gets asked as to why he doesn't remove the scar, and we get a panel that you might have seen. I felt the edginess inside me as I was reading this shit. The scar reminds him of that day, and I quote, "So every day I start the morning with fresh hatred." Insane dialogue. Anyway, Chihiro wants to meet with the Yakuza. He gets there with Shiba and he just starts slashing. He goes to the guys that killed the protesters and goes on a rampage. He got the last sword his father made, and it has sorcery on it. We also have another meme panel. I can't allow slime like you to wield the katana. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just the translation, but it sounds funny as fuck. Anyway, only one guy is left and he asks him about the Hishaku, the group of sorcerers that are backing up the Yakuza. They are the ones that are responsible for what happened, and that's the first chapter. A longer one since it's the first one, and that's how it should be. The first chapter is crucial. We live in the TikTok era. People can't watch a 7-minute video, so the first chapter needs to give you a decent idea of the story. Kagurabachi does a good job at introducing characters, the story and the world. To be fair, so far it isn't anything complex. I mean, it's just a revenge story and edgy MC, but it did a good job at introducing stuff. As he tries to ask about the sorcerers, the guy gets killed by some kind of ability, so they put a seal on the guys that activates when they try to speak about them. We get another backstory and we know what happened on that day. Chihiro's father got killed by 3 sorcerers. They were after the 6 enchanted blades that he made. Kunishige made them for the war. He got them back after and the sorcerers attacked to steal them. But he actually made 7. The last one is the one that Chihiro uses. They go to Tokyo and Shiba announces that there is an enchanted blade around. A small 3-year backstory and we get introduced to a girl named Takeru Hokazono. Shiba asks her to help him find the blades. She accepts. Back to the present, both Chihiro and Shiba arrive at her workplace. Her job is to notify them for any clues regarding the blades. She stumbles across a little girl and she claims that she saw an enchanted blade. They go there not really believing her. The kid is an orphan, so our cool and edgy MC feels for her. He decides to treat her to a meal. We get more details and we find out that she wasn't lying, and suddenly they get attacked by a sorcerer. The tall ass dude like bro should go to the NBA, wasted potential. For some reason the art style of this chapter was pretty bad. It was a chapter with more jokes and stuff, but still the author was late on time or something, I don't know. Luckily chapter 4 looks better. They get to fighting. We know that there are a lot of people after the kid. The sorcerer tries to infuse more drama into her by saying that people died trying to protect her, just like her mother did. Our MC makes quick work of him. He tells the kid that they have common interests. Her needing protection and Chihiro getting the blades, and since people are looking for her, she is pretty much a magnet so he can get closer to his goal this way. Chapter 5 is more of a build-up. Chihiro buys food for the girl again. Shiba interrogates the guy they just fought to get more information. We find out who has the cloudy blade that they are looking for. Genichi Sojo. He is a weapon dealer and a big name. His organization also saw the fight and they know about the 7th enchanted blade. Some weird ass guy pops up and wants the girl. Apparently, Genichi put up a price for her, and since he is a big name, any sorcerer that sees it will go for it. So our guy pretty much has most sorcerers in Tokyo as his up. They fight the weird guy. Bro thinks he's Naruto with his clones and shit. He has an interesting ability and he can control someone's brain to some extent. He makes Chihiro see the day his father died. We learn that the girl is wanted for her ability. She comes from a family that has powers. We see as she heals her leg. Our go-to the greatest character in fiction and reality. Chihiro packs up the Naruto knockoff. Now, our guy tries to leave since he got a bounty on his ass, but he is stopped by another sorcerer. Before Chihiro takes his blade out, he is stopped by a guy. With straight hands and no sorcery shit, he beats up the enemy. He notices a badge and he's like hell nah and just leaves. Chihiro knows the guy. Apparently he works with the government. He wanted to take Char, the little girl, into custody but he can't no more. Almost no one knows about the 7 blades that Chihiro uses, so him being out in the open will expose that. A bigger problem though, in 1 month the big shots from the underworld will hold the annual black market auction and all 6 blades are up for it, and they were submitted by Genichi Sojo. The guy tells Chihiro that Sojo is out of his league. Genichi is just him pretty much, like he is that guy. Chihiro won't leave it up to the government and they know that, so they have 1 month to do something. Oh, and also they raised his bounty. This was again a build-up chapter. Now we get into the bread though. Shiba hit the tall sorcerer with some tall no jutsu and he wanted to make it right with his family. He called his sister and they were about to go to their mom to talk it off since he wasn't on good terms with them. Right as he got into the car, he sees his sister hurt and he gets stabbed by Sojo and then dies. He didn't kill his sister, but he killed him since he didn't stick to the path that he was on until now. To be honest, this was the best moment in the manga so far for me, since I didn't expect it. Anyway, Sojo goes to the guy that tried to be Naruto and he tests the trauma ability for himself. We get 1 panel and I guess it's a hint at his backstory. He goes to finish the job himself and the fight starts. The next chapter starts with a conversation between Shiba and Azami, the government guy. They talk about how the last week was the anniversary of the war's end and how Chihiro's father is seen as a hero. But now since Sojo has a blade, he might start a fight in the streets. There was never a fight between 2 enchanted swords, so they don't know what will happen. We go back to the fight. Sojo wonders why he never heard of Chihiro's sword. The worst thing happens. They go outside to fight. Chihiro thought that this was the best to protect Char since he realized that he wasn't here for her. They go at it for a bit and Chihiro notices that my guy isn't even going all in. Sojo then says that he actually loves Chihiro's father. He read everything about him and when he got his hands on the cloud sword, it was like a dream coming true. Our best character in fiction says that the enchanted swords are meant to protect the weak. You know the generic main character speech. Sojo has none of it. He says that he is the only one that understands Kunishige. He made the weapons for killing, not saving people. So Bro is his #1 glazer, but he completely missed the point. He goes up in the air and people start noticing and panic erupts. Chihiro knows that if people die because of the blades, his father's reputation will be fucked, so it's personal now. Sojo keeps mocking Chihiro's views, thinking that altruism is the complete opposite of what Kunishige wanted with his blades. Our guy snaps and lets out the word father. He gets behind and they draw the swords at the same time on each other, then they fall back. Some guys in both teams pull up. Sojo's people kidnapped Char. Chihiro rushes to the car but it was actually a trap. Char isn't actually in that car. Sojo escapes and our MC is in that moment where he is completely down and doesn't believe in himself since he lost the girl that he needed to protect. Chihiro wakes up in the hospital, same with Hinao. We learn that Genichi has some Datenseki. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Anyway, the ore that the blades are made from. Normally they are too strong for humans, but Kunishige was the only one that was able to manage that power. However, Genichi Sojo believes that Char's cells are the key to control the power, so she becomes a lab rat now pretty much. We see the squad that pulled up to help Chihiro come into the hospital. Their goal is to kill Sojo. MC wants to help obviously, but he is too hurt. They don't have him planned to save the kid as their only job is to smoke Genichi, but they come to an agreement to work together. Chihiro will save Char and the squad kills the target. We see Genichi Sojo at the bats as he thinks about Chihiro's words, thinking that he might be Kunishige's son since he got that enchanted blade, but also thinking that his ideals are the complete opposite of what that man wanted. He goes out of the bat and the guys with their mission to kill him pull up, with Sojo knowing that this will happen. Man, I'm really noticing a pattern with pull-ups here. People really get jumped in here non-stop. Also, Chihiro is doing his part in saving Char. We get to the fight. They leave the ground in the air so that there won't be any victims. Chihiro told them exactly how to fight him. They came in with a plan for everything, how to deal with all his attacks, how to corner him, combining water and electricity. Chihiro also gets the info to go and save Char. With the info, Shiba and Chihiro split up. Chihiro can't fight in this state, but they are both found immediately. We get a flashback. Kunishige tells his son that he doesn't need to be like him and he needs to find his own shape. Obviously, when a protagonist gets the short flashback, he gets up even if he's pretty much dead. Oh, we also learn that the abilities from the enchanted swords can differ from person to person. Next chapter we get Char's backstory. Her mother told her to never talk to anyone about her power. Still, the power they had leaked, so the whole clan got exterminated. Only Char and her mother were left. They were put in a lab, but her mother sacrificed herself so she could escape. Since we know that the enchanted blades can act differently depending on the user, we know that this is the reason that Chihiro can fight in this state. Subconsciously, he developed a way that allowed him to use his powers without demanding too much from his body and still be effective. He does his thing and comes to Char. A bit of a bonding time between the two, they go back and now we know how the healing ability works. You just have to wish for that wound to heal with all your heart. She heals Chihiro and she is left with Shiba. Back to the fight, the group hits Sojo pretty hard, but he uses an attack and fucks everyone pretty much. Arms cut off and shit. They might just be dead, but we don't know. He goes to Chihiro and now both of them have more understanding of the swords. They are hurt and all, they can only last for 12 more seconds, so they need to finish it off in one attack pretty much. Apparently, Chihiro and Sojo had a talk before. He has the opportunity to learn about Kunishige's daily life, but he scraps the idea. He is in denial. He wants to only know the version of Kunishige that he created based on his understanding. But Chihiro says that both of them are right. They have completely different views on the blades and their creator, but we see that Kunishige told his son that at the end of the day, the blades are still made for killing, so it's kinda up to the person to use it for their own reasons. The fight goes on and Chihiro sacrifices his arm for a counterattack. Sojo uses double the power, so he cuts his time in half to surprise Chihiro. Our goat of course dodges it and he used 3 times more power, so his time is even shorter. But with less than a second, Chihiro strikes and beats Sojo. The cloud blade gets cut in half. Genichi is desperate and he tries to climb the stairs, blood dripping all over the place. I love these moments, when a character was untouchable at some point ends up in this situation. He doesn't just die, he goes out in desperation slowly. It really reminded me of Light in the manga, by far the best moment in Kagurabachi. We see the higher-ups from the government organization talking. 4 people died in the fight. The enchanted blades work in the form of a contract. Only the owner can use them, and all of them are protected by the organization. So the only threat was the cloud that Sojo used. One guy that survived the fight told them some stuff about Chihiro. Now they know about him and that he has an enchanted sword that no one knows about, so they want to retrieve it. Some people in there are wary of Azami since he knew about these things, but they let things like that for now since they have to get the blades. They send in their best fighter, Hiyuki. January 11, 18 days since Genichi Sojo's death and 7 days until the auction. We see a guy that watched the first fight between Chihiro and Sojo. After seeing our goat survive the lightning attack and all, he became a fanboy. Bro is just glazing, he wanna be like him and shit. He tried to save some kid by getting kidnapped by some EDPs, to say it like that. He gets captured himself cause he is not him. Unlucky. Chihiro comes, but before we get a conversation between him and Shiba, we know that Sojo was just a puppet. He wasn't the one to put the weapons for auction. It was someone that used his name. And we learned that there is a family that controls this auction. They are hard to find, so they need to look for people that have connections with them. So that's why Chihiro was there to save his #1 glazer. Bro really thinks it's fate that they met and shit. The glazer, Haruki Sazanami, is from an influential sorcerer family and he asks Chihiro to listen to him. He used to be a part of the Sazanami family, the ones who controlled the auction, but he got disowned because he was the weakest. They train everyone from a young age to protect the auction. Humans are sold at the event and stuff like that, so he wants to destroy it. He has some inside information. The Shinuki is the headliner this year, one of the enchanted swords. Shiba calls Chihiro to inform that someone is after him, so he gets ready. Hiyuki pulls up, the girl that is with the government, and she kinda smokes him. He barely blocks an attack. She has some cool powers with bones and shit. She reminds me of Kimimaro from Naruto. Bro mad underrated. Anyway, she tells Chihiro that wielding the blade will only bring death to people around and he is reminded of the squad that died fighting Sojo. Haruki comes in clutch and tanks an attack as he reminds Chihiro that he saved him. Also, nobody can leave the fight because of a spell that some guy put in there. It only breaks when someone passes out or dies. She wants Chihiro to stop and hand over the blade if he is a good guy, but he refuses. Our guy goes behind her and Hiyuki does the Aizen. She catches the blade with her hands, not as cold as Aizen, but hey, fair enough. But wait, that's not all. Chihiro outsmarted her. She pulled a smaller katana so she didn't catch the enchanted one. He goes behind her and strikes. Still for nothing though, since she literally tanks the attack. Also they refer to Hiyuki as a he, but I looked it up and people say that she's a girl, so I don't know. And no, she doesn't have a pronouns. At least they didn't mention something like that yet. Anyway, she kinda goes insane. She didn't even go all out, so this was just a play for her. Haruki passes out though, so it ended that guy's ability. Chihiro escapes with him. We see the head of the Sazanami family and he says that the Shinuki enchanted blade is the strongest one. They go back home and Haruki tells everyone that he doesn't know where the blades are to be exact, but he knows the location. And his father is the head of the Sazanami clan. The government organization plans to partake in the auction. They won't use violence or steal it, they'll just bid on it. They are in a deadlock since the Kamunabi have the owner and the criminals have the blade. And they don't want to go to war since they will lose a lot of people. We see Haruki's father having a conversation with someone that has the other 4 blades. He then meets with Shiba and Chihiro to discuss about the location of the blades. Now into the last chapter so far, we also got a colored panel, so our guys went to the Sazanami house. They need to be careful since there are 4 elites that protect the guy called the Tao, Haruki's brothers. He also says that if they found him, they'll just kill him. Back to their discussion, Chihiro gets mad, so he threatens him. The father says that the storage doesn't actually exist. It's a place created by his sorcery. Everything in there is in his control. So if he dies, the whole place disappears along with everything in there. So the blades, the people captured, everything. It's a smart move since he knows that there is nothing he can do against an enchanted blade. So he reveals everything since this fact alone gives them a reason not to kill him. He could be bluffing though. They plan to torture him, cutting one fingernail at a time. He is fine with it, but he will kill one prisoner per fingernail. He knows that they won't do that, so he wasn't at risk from the start. They wanted to leave, but in classic fashion for this manga, another pull-up happens. The tower gets to jumping. There are 3 of them. One is missing as he went to look for Haruki, and well, we cut to him being found by his brother. And the chapter ends here. We are left with a bit of a cliffhanger. So this is Kagurabachi so far, 23 chapters. As expected, it's pretty basic. We all thought that once the meme dies, the series will get axed, but hey, it's still going strong, so I guess people do like it. And I mean, it's not bad, but it's not good either, it's just there. There is nothing that I've never seen before. The characters are all simple and the plot is just your basic revenge story. The art style is good overall, sometimes it's meh, but the author cooks when he needs to. Fighting scenes are done well enough, the paneling is good, we see some characters overlapping with other panels and stuff like that, so it does the job. Chapter 18 was by far my favorite, the one with Sojo's defeat, and I like that he actually died. I wouldn't have been surprised if Sojo survived, and it would have been that type of series with no important deaths for the most part. But thankfully that's not the case. I'm sure he is a liked character, but the author wasn't afraid to kill him. He didn't overstay his welcome basically. Anyway, let me know what you think about the series, like and subscribe, follow the Twitter, and I'll see you on the next one.